Bosses in Super Mario World really are pathetic. Perhaps that's to be expected, but I've seen what other games from the SNES era asked of the player, and Super Mario World lowered that bar somewhat. Have you ever thought about exactly how easy its bosses were though? Because I have. And in the name of vaguely scientific research, I decided to quantify their levels of ease by way of a chart. Behold, the tier list. Here's the method. Mario is a game about moving and jumping. Taking away jumping from Jumpman himself would be sacrilegious, but what if we reduced his movement? How many bosses could we defeat without pressing the D-pad at all? For those that we can't, how many steps are needed? Is a single press of the D-pad enough to secure victory, or do we need to stretch to a handful? At the bottom of the tier list, we have the true bosses. These are the ones that require some active participation in the D-pad department. Okay, they're still not going to be very difficult, but I wonder if anyone's even going to land in this category. It is an easy game after all. Let's take a look at the contenders. We got a dubious bunch in slightly different resolutions, which is odd because they all came from the same sprite sheet, but never mind that. We have the 7 Koopalings, all lined up in progression order, followed by our 2 optional bosses, and all capped off with Bowser himself. And yes, I know, Big Boo is facing the wrong direction. Consider yourself well and truly bothered. Let's go, on with castle number 1, Iggy Koopa. I won't be showing you my trek through the castle because that's pretty stock and standard, but I will show you before we start the fight in the top right corner. Inputs. I have an input reader so you can check that I'm doing everything by the book, and I'm not trying to obscure nasty cheating ways. Let us meet with Iggy Koopa. Now here he is, and for the first time I'm just going to run around as if I'm a regular human being. Iggy Koopa balances on this seesaw as it soars back and forth. See? He takes his head off. I don't know what's going on in these animations. And he throws a ball at you. I think it's a ball, might be a barrel, might be a balloon. Could be anything. How do you defeat him? You drop at his head, like this, and he gets knocked towards the side that's currently lowering. Not lowered, but lowering. Do this strategically, and you can knock him into the lava. Easy fight, boss number 1, nothing too hard. Place your bets as to how this is going to go. So it turns out that I am quite the deceitful chap, because as I return I'm wearing completely different clothing. Yes, I went and got myself a fire flower so I can shoot fireballs. Those of you who have played the game before know exactly where this is going. But one thing I neglected to mention deliberately is that you can also shoot fireballs at Iggy in order to make him move in the direction of the currently soared seesaw. Sunken part of the platform. What this means... I forgot the platform got too steep. One moment. What that means is that we can easily defeat Iggy if we just use a combination of jumping and fireballing in order to maneuver him in the direction we want. In fact, if we knock him too far to the left and he goes underneath my feet, that's still not going to be an issue. But just to keep things simple, we defeat him in that direction. And if you're wondering how I moved to the right at the end there, the slope of the platform was forcing me to slide to the right, so when I jumped I kept momentum. As an interesting challenge, I might be able to beat him without even using the fireballs as well, if I time that correctly, but that's far too much effort. So instead, let's just move on, and of course, put him in his rightful place. Right, Morton Jr. up next. Yeah, Junior, I don't know why he's Junior, but he's got a dad somewhere. Oh, Morton, my sweet child. Well, not mine, Morton Sr.'s sweet child. He was the one who inspired this entire video, and that pretty much gives away how this is gonna go. But first, let me demonstrate Morton's fighting style. He walks at you, and when that incredible tactic fails, he tries to drop from the ceiling on top of you. That's it, that's his whole game plan. That's everything he's got. And he's not even good at that. You can jump into him when he's falling, and nothing happens. The man's hitbox is only active about a quarter of the entire fight. You can mount him and climb the walls if you so please. The man's almost incapable of harm. And the biggest insult of all, even if you don't move, and somehow he gets his attack off, you could just walk away from him. What a man. Now, I've already said he was the inspiration for the video, so surprisingly enough. You can probably guess how this is going to go. But for science. Brace yourselves, people, this one's going to be quick and exciting. I feel so accomplished. In light of recent events, some changes were in order. Perfect. Right, let's carry on. You're up next, Lemmy. So welcome to Lemmy's door. Now Lemmy is an interesting chap, and I'll just demonstrate him before we start. He likes to appear out of pipes at random, and he does so with a couple of decoys. If you jump on a decoy, nothing bad happens. I mean, you get a noise that sounds like you failed. But other than that, nothing bad happens at all. In fact, you get some points. You could argue it's good, if for some weird reason you cared about points. But Lemmy doesn't actually attack. He just pulls faces at you. These bosses, they don't really know much about attacking. But if you hit him correctly, you get a happy chime, and he takes 1 point of damage, hit him 3 times, and he is done. How does this boss hurt you then? Well, this fireball that's bouncing around can hurt you, and also both Lemmy and the decoys will hurt you if they fully emerge on top of you or if you run into it after they're up. So, how do you think this one's going to go? Because if you said long, you're right. So the interesting thing about this fight is that Lemmy doesn't have any rules governing where he can appear, as far as I know. He can appear directly beneath your feet, which is the only protection the game might offer, but it doesn't. So there is a chance that Lemmy will appear in this pipe here in the middle. There's nothing special about it. He can appear here if he so chooses. That means I basically just do this until he arrives. Whilst dodging. You get the drift. Let me show you the fast version. So there we have it. Not exactly the most exciting of battles, but nevertheless, perfectly completable without a single press of the D-pad. Our next opponent will be Ludwig von Koopa, in the wrong colour palette in this game for some mysterious reason. He's supposed to have blue hair, but we don't worry about his hair. Let's just take him on. Right then, so as is tradition, let's begin by showing you what a normal fight looks like against Ludwig von Koopa. So he likes to shoot fireballs at you, which resembles an attack. That's impressive in its own right. And then he starts spinning towards you like this. Now this will hurt you if it hits you whilst you're on the ground, but you can land on it even without spin jumping for some reason, and you just don't take damage, you bounce off. In order to beat him, you've got to jump on his head 3 times. This is the fight. It repeats. And keeping up Morton's tradition, he can't even hurt you when he's in the air for some strange reason. I don't know why. You trust I can beat this boss. But can I beat it without the D-pad? Well, the eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed a slight problem that's going to cause some issues here. There ain't no boss. We have to go to the right in order to spawn the boss and start the fight. Now, we can make an argument about whether this counts as the beginning of the fight, or the fight begins when he starts moving, but let's say this is the start of the fight because I have entered the boss door. In which case, we got a problem. But, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about fire, aren't you, you little pyromaniac you? I knew I liked you for a reason. Well, unfortunately, even fire can't bail us out of this one. You see, if you shoot fireballs from here, they just don't hit Ludwig. I don't know if this is because Ludwig hasn't spawned in yet, and I don't think he has, but even if he had, when my fireballs go off screen, they can't travel very far before they despawn. There's a proximity thing going on. So, unfortunately, it is not possible to even begin this fight without going to the right, and there is no way that I'm aware of travelling to the right without pressing right. And if you're thinking I could cape fly to the right with only tapping left to keep it going, you're right, I could, but I will need to tap right once in order to start that flight. So, either way, we're looking at one input. It's a sad day. Right, the fight has begun. And my inputs have ended on the D-pad. I'm still going to use the rest of my controller, otherwise it would be difficult. Instead of the usual jumping tactic, well, I mean, it is a jumping tactic, but instead of landing on his head, I will be electing to burn him alive with fire, which causes him to inflate, then rapidly deflate. Most of the Koopalings can be defeated by repeatedly shooting them with fireballs instead of jumping on their heads, if you prefer. I prefer. Be proud, Ludwig, be very proud. You are the first member to not go in the easiest category, or have his own category named after him, because he is beyond a joke. Well, look who we have next. It's Roy. Ah, Roy. Brother to Morton. I mean, of course he's brother to... They're the Koopalings, they're all related, they're all siblings. But anyway, it's Roy. He is a refight of Morton. In order to not have to design more boss fights, the makers of the game, which I believe was Nintendo, decided they were going to reuse the boss fights. The first 3 fights are reused again for the last 3 fights, but made more difficult. So Roy is more impressive than Morton in every conceivable way. Firstly, he is wearing sunglasses. Secondly, if you hit him, and then allow him to complete an attack cycle, or I think just get to the ceiling? Yes, the walls close in, making the arena smaller and deadlier. I'm sure that's going to have a lot of impact. Riveting stuff. On the plus side, at least Morton doesn't have to be all alone now. They're basically the same, they can both belong in Morton tier, it's fine. Wendy, you are the reimagination of Lemmy. You're up next. Now, with Wendy being a refight, you may think you know exactly how this is going to go, but let's just have a quick look at the arena. The pipes this time are flat. This is probably a disadvantage to us, because there is nothing to obstruct the path of the fireballs bouncing around, the potobos. Also, this time there are now 2 potobos instead of 1. As far as battling goes, it's pretty much the same. We just need to land on a head 3 times in order to win the fight. So, can we do that without using the D-pad? Let's see. Probably going to be another long one, isn't it? That's a little bit of a problem, but that's fine, I can jump that. Wait a second, is that actually going to be a problem? Well, listen to myself here. I should have tested this a bit more. I thought this would just be a repeat of Lemmy. Never mind, there's a way through it. Okay, so this is doable, but it's very annoying. Right, well now we're past that hurdle, settle in. Of course, I can't spin jump on the potobos when they overlap either. This is going to be a nightmare. Okay, never mind, I got it on literally my next attempt after saying it was going to take ages and be really difficult. I'm a man of many surprises. So it seems a little unfair to put you in the no D-pad tier, considering the amount of effort involved in beating you. But, you know, them's the rules. Larry, I'm coming for you. I almost forgot Larry even existed. Larry. You've seen how much more difficult a refight can be with the added difficulty they inject, and this is an exception to that rule. Although Roy was also an exception, so I guess this is the standard. You see, this fight gets 3 Podobos added to it, which would be a problem if I stood anywhere near where the Podobos jump. What a stylish way to end the fight! That was completely unintended, but I'll take it. I can beat him just with fireballs. It would have been fine. But that's too classy not to include. And I still didn't touch the D-pad. That's what counts. Welcome to your rightful home. I have just beaten all of the Koopalings by pressing right once. This has gone better than I expected. Right. Big Boo. The man who faces the wrong direction. Tucked deep away in Donut Secret House is the optional boss. Well, a lot of these bosses are optional because of the shortcuts, but the intended optional boss of Big Boo. This fight sees Big Boo himself float around in a vaguely figure of 8, nearly, whilst he has 2 of his assistants make funny faces at you. Regular Boos, they do regular Boo things. The interesting thing about Big Boo is that he's ethereal. He cannot hurt you. There is nothing he can do. He can fly over you, you can run into his mouth, nothing happens. He is incapable of damaging you. How do you beat him? You pick up a block and you throw it at his face. So long as a block is flashing, it is lethal to not ghosts, just that one. These two guys are completely immortal to any kind of damage. But Big Boo needs to be hit 3 times by glowing blocks in order to take him down. Sounds like it should be easy without D-pad, right? Well, no. You see, there are 2 main problems going on in the Big Boo fight. Well, I guess one interconnected problem. We spawn on the left. And this is fantastic for dealing with the small Boos because they're both looking at me, which means they're scared because they're very shy, bless them. But Big Boo, he's not shy. He's coming straight at me. But he never comes at me far enough. I can't reach him from here. And the second problem, which is kind of connected to the first, is that in order to throw a block with any force, I need to use the D-pad. If I want a block to go up, I need to hold up when I release it. If I don't do this, the block just gets plonked down. That isn't going to do very much. No height to that. Same deal within the air. If you want to do a nice dramatic throw of a block, you need to be holding a direction, left or right. If you just release a block in the air, it drops down. These 2 problems compound. I'm stood over here, and a dropped block doesn't reach him. And unfortunately, I can't see a solution around this problem. You might be thinking maybe I could lure the ghosts to me, because I can spin around by spin jumping and hoping I land the other direction, so I can get these ghosts close to me, but when you bounce off them, you just go up and down on the spot, you don't bounce with any horizontal movement, so I can't actually move horizontally in any way. So we are going to have to press right. I know, I'm sorry, and this sounds annoying, let me get rid of that for you. It is a burden we must bear, but this boss, despite how easy he is, will take a single right input. There it is. I'm going to have to be very careful with my right input or I'm going to cause some problems for myself, aren't I? Let me rethink this, actually. Going for the right input again, but going to go slightly further. Then I want to spin around. Perfection. And now the fight is all but won. So I still can't throw blocks upwards, and I can take all the time I want to explain. Big Boo, he's not doing anything. He's got all the time in the world. I can't throw blocks upwards. But fortunately, if you grab a block and jump on the same frame, you will jump grab. I don't know what the technical name is. I'm going to call it jump grab. That would allow me to get a block nicely into the air at maximum possible height so I can drop it into his face. Or his side. Either way works. So long as the block's flashing, it's all good. I'm a little concerned I might die when I take the third block. Oh, this is an interesting moment. You swoop lower than that. I know your pattern. That's not a win. It's alright though, I know what I need to do. I'm making hard work out of this, which shouldn't be very difficult. All I need is something like that. Please spin around. I am stood on 2 blocks. It might not look like it, but I am, trust me. So when I grab a block, everything's fine. Essentially, I've doubled my ammunition, because when I grab again, I will grab from behind my heel. He's very flexible as Mario. And this time, I won't run out of blocks. You will swoop lower than that. I'm not going to risk that. I probably hit, but why take the risk? We're here for a good time. Stunning stuff. Another input that goes against us. Oh, it hurts my soul. It is with a heavy heart. The Big Boo must be placed in the 1 input category. With only 2 remaining, I'm seriously wondering if I needed these categories, but let's find out. Next comes Reznor. Right then, here we are, ready to fight Reznor. He is another optional boss. This one guards the fortresses that are dotted around the world, and I don't think you ever have to do a fortress. Maybe in Chocolate Island you're supposed to. But Reznor ups the notch a little bit when it comes to a boss fight. Reznor is 4 dinosaurs that breathe fireballs at you. Because sometimes Mario just goes off the rails a bit. This boss fight is genuinely something. You have to weave in and out of these fireballs. You cannot land on top of these dinosaurs. You will take damage, or in my case I will die because I'm already small Mario, and you have to hit them from below, which is quite dangerous, because if you jump towards them when their mouths are open, they might shoot a fireball, and they can shoot the fireballs straight downwards, and it can be a bit of a problem. If you hit 2 of them off of their platforms, the bridge starts to give way, making the fight even more difficult. It really is a surprising difficulty spike compared to the rest of the bosses. You then have to be cut off by that annoying time announcement, steal one of their platforms, and then do battle with them up close and personal on their own whirligig, I shall call that. Knock all 4 of them into the lava and you win. Surely this isn't possible without pressing the direction button a couple of times, right? Well, let's see. Problem number 1, and I can already see this one's gonna happen. I can't hit them from here, and you can't bounce off of the fireballs. Because if you try, you die. And just to get rid of some common ideas you might have, Cape isn't gonna do anything to help you in this fight. And fireballs, if you are Fireflower Mario, do not affect the Reznors. So, once again, unfortunately, there is no way I can even start this fight in earnest without at least walking towards the enemy. But it may shock you to know that walking towards the enemy is all I intend to do. That was 1 press of right whilst I was in the air. And so the battle commences. Consider yourself bested. I practiced this fight, by the way. And it took me about 15 tries to get a good setup for this fight. And when I say setup, I just mean a strategy. And then I turn on recording and I do it first try. Which makes it look easy and undermines the whole point. But it does rather neatly support their placement on the tier list as a feeble 1 inputter. Bowser remains. I would ask you to estimate where you think Bowser's going to go. But let me arm you with the information first. Allow me to show you the Bowser fight. Before we continue though, I'd like to first give a quick warning that the upcoming footage may affect people with photosensitive conditions. There is lightning that occurs against the backdrop of the Bowser fight, and some of the upcoming footage is sped up, which makes that even more stark compared to normal. Please use your discretion and skip ahead to the next timestamp if you have any doubts. Bowser himself lay beyond this darkened door. And you may have noticed that I brought a cape with me. No real reason behind that, it just brings me comfort. So this is going to be my demonstration of the fight. Free use of the D-pad. As a matter of fact, the D-pad indicator's gone from the top right of the screen, which means I can cheat to my heart's content, and you'll never know. But I'm not going to do that, I promise. So the Bowser fight starts like this. He wobbles back and forth and achieves absolutely nothing. Then he creates a Mecha Koopa. These are enemies that waddle towards you, and you must jump on their heads in order to disable them. Once they're disabled, they can be picked up, and they can be flung in Bowser's direction. If a Mecha Koopa hits Bowser, he takes damage. This is the only way to damage him. 2 hits makes him go away, and start the second wave. In between each wave, we get a few things. We get something that will genuinely help us, and also something that will probably kill us. Fire. That's the harmful thing. Fire will rain from the ceiling, and then Princess Peach will give us a mushroom for our troubles. What a kind lady. As for Bowser himself, if I jump into those propellers, I'm going to take damage. If I jump into Bowser, I'm going to take damage. And look at him, he's very spiky. If I jump into his clown car, I get bounced away without taking damage. And I do get bounced with some horizontal motion, so that might be useful. Potentially. In the second phase, as you can see, he creates bowling balls. The bowling balls, he spawns them on top of you. I will demonstrate them again because it's quite important. He spawns them on top of you. We go all the way over here and just stand still for a bit. As on top of you as he possibly can. And then they roll towards you, whichever direction you're facing. You can spin jump on top of them to not take damage. You can also jump over them if you feel like using a D-pad for some strange, bizarre reason. They're not particularly difficult to avoid, but Bowser will home in on you, which means if you don't move, they're likely going to land on your head. 2 bowling balls, and then he spawns another wave of Koopas, which can be used against his cranium. You can even go so far as to preserve a Mecha Koopa if you like, carrying it forwards into the next round so that you can speed things up. I'm not going to do that. Final round. Bowser goes nuts. He just tries to stomp on you with a propeller blade. Now, I'm no expert in aviation, but I don't think a propeller blade is particularly suitable to this kind of stress and impact. It's not what it was designed for. Don't advise it. Interesting fact though, you can stand here and never get hit. This is a known thing. It's fun though. That Mecha Koopa just fell off of this very plane of existence. Poor chap. It's the same deal again then. Get yourself 2 Mecha Koopas, bonk him on the head twice, and the fight ends dramatically. Alright, but that's enough practice, or examination of the fight. Let's take away that D-pad and see how we do. Now, Bowser in his first phase doesn't really concern me. Well, I mean, the face on the ship concerns me, but Bowser himself doesn't. He never swoops low enough to do any damage. He's not going to hit me. The Mecha Koopas might, but I should just be able to stomp them, I think. I hope. Yes, this is fine, and then I can just spin into the next one. So the only thing that's actually a threat, or a difficulty here, is how do I damage Bowser? And the answer is going to be I have to do that. Bounce off of one Mecha Koopa in order to drop a Mecha Koopa directly onto his nose. This is a bit weird, but we'll make it work, maybe? Not quite. I'm in the corner now. It's fine, we said we can move horizontally and it might be useful. This probably isn't useful, because it's made it more difficult to get the height. But I feel safer over here. So that's a plus. This might take a while. Just a bit of warning. Oh no, this is a maybe. Not quite. But you see what we're going for. This is definitely doable, as I shall show you in this next clip, which definitely only took me one attempt in order to get to. I lied, it actually took me about 50 attempts in order to come up with something that vaguely resembled a plan. So first of all, I get Bowser to assist me into this corner over here. Lovely place. This makes it easier for me to jump on top of the Mecha Koopas because I'm further away from the propeller blades. The starting position, it still works, but sometimes the timing is a bit tight. And you might need to use spin jumps to not die. This just seems safer. The downside, of course, is that Bowser is higher in his arc when he gets over to this point. Which means actually hitting Bowser is more difficult. We have traded offense for defense. And yes, I know it looked like it's impossible to hit Bowser from this position, but trust me, it is doable. I have done it before, and I shall do it again. Eventually. I'm scared. Wrongly. It's not going to be quick, but there's no time limit on Bowser. We can spend all day in here if we want to. But whether or not I want to doesn't really come into it. Chance. Miss. That could have been a hit, if I just timed my jump better. I know it looks impossible, but you've got to believe. Thank you. Okay, one down, one to go. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Wait, don't get hit. I'm gonna get hit anyway, but just try not to. So for the flames, I don't have anything. I'm just gonna have to let it hit me, I think. In theory, if you're positioned perfectly between the flames, I guess you can dodge it. But beyond that, no plan. Now, for Phase 2, you might be thinking that as soon as the bowling balls start to come down, I'm done for. But I have a tactic for this as well. Behold! That was not my tactic. One moment, please. Behold the plan. So although Bowser is trying to drop these balls directly on top of my head, if you stand completely on the left for the first wave of balls, he will actually drop them at the left part of his arc, which will mean that they land on the floor beside you, rather than on top of you, giving you time to spin jump on top of them. But that, my friends, is where it all comes to an end. You see, I could probably bounce on that one as well if I timed it better. But beyond that point, I don't know how to continue. Even in the theoretical world, where I somehow keep that Mecha Koopa, or I manage to perform this trick in the middle of the screen and get 2 Mecha Koopas, bouncing on top of a Mecha Koopa in this phase, I do not believe makes you high enough to hit Bowser. Even with perfect placement, and we can theoretically create perfect placement by bouncing off of the clown car. that even in the most optimal of situations, I do not believe it is possible to just drop a Mecha Koopa into Bowser's face. We have failed. It's a sad day, but we're gonna need the D-pad. It is shameful, but we are here outside of Bowser's door once more. We're going to need directional input to get through this fight. But what kind? You're probably thinking left and right in order to dodge things, evade things, and position myself in better positions. That's a good choice of words. But no, I'm going to opt for up. And if you want to be very generous, you could say that I'm not doing any input in the fight because I have to press up to get in the door, and then I'm just holding the up. But that's stretching things, and that's very kind of you, very generous, but not accurate. And we're doing science, damn it. But being able to look upwards means that when I release a Mecha Koopa from my hands, whether I'm on the ground or in the air, it will be thrown with force. Which makes hitting Bowser substantially easier than it was before. Means I have absolutely no trouble getting the height on the Mecha Koopa when I'm sat in the corner like this, so we just take the safe option over here. Especially considering we know this sets us up nicely for the bowling ball attack in a moment. And I say sets us up nicely, it's still very difficult. It's just, it's possible over here. And hoping for more than possible is greedy. I still have to do spin jumps in order to turn around. With a bit of luck. Not that turning around here does anything, but when I'm holding a Koopa, it will. This is more difficult than I imagined, and I'm gonna need that hit to survive the next wave of fire. I need to practice my timing. Just a moment. Good news, everyone. So, my previous tactic would have worked, but it was finicky. And that's one thing we cannot stand. I come up with a new tactic. Still involves holding up, but this one should be easier. Because I have had about 20 tries off camera in order to try and do the other method, and whilst I can see it will work, it's just a bit tight on the timing and I'm a bit old in the reactions. So let's see if this makes my life easier. The difference is minor, but important. We're going to preserve a Mecha Koopa. The first phase is the easiest and the second phase is the hardest. So by carrying a Mecha Koopa between the first and second phase, we've reduced the number of bowling ball cycles we have to deal with. All we need to do is make sure this Mecha Koopa doesn't walk off screen to the left. I plan to do that. Give him a nice football header to the right, which will reset his stun timer and knock him a good distance away. He'll walk towards me as soon as he wakes up. But it bought me enough time. For a free hit. Beautiful stuff. Please don't mess up my bowling ball timing. I'm scared. That is tighter than it was before. I may have made my life more difficult. All good, all good. I'm gonna end up in some very bizarre position after this, but I think it'll work. We need horizontal movement in order to get away from Bowser, to put some distance between us and him, otherwise we are just going to end up hitting the underside of his clown car. Interestingly, if you throw the Mecha Koopa upwards facing to the right, you hit the underside of the clown car. If you throw the Mecha Koopa up facing left, it goes immediately off screen and becomes ethereal. I'm not gonna get the mushroom. How do I get to the left of the screen where it's safe? Just a slight tweak is needed. You have no idea what this took. Attempt number must be... It must be in the triple digits. I should have kept track. I didn't, but I should have. Also, for clarity, you're watching pre-recorded content here. I wasn't commentating when I tried. I commentated the first 20 or so attempts and then I despaired for a bit. So, commentating in post for this one. Phase 1, you know what's going on. You get knocked to the left for safety and then store a Mecha Koopa into Phase 2. Phase 2 is the hard one. We have ways of getting through Phase 2, but the problem is you have to find a way to get through Phase 2 that leaves you in one of two positions. You either need to be on the far left corner, where I currently am, in any state, that's fine, because that's the point where Bowser can't hit you in Phase 3, and you'll be able to win from there. Or you need to end at a point near the middle, slightly to the left, but not too far to the left, so that you can jump into the clown car on Phase 3 and get knocked into the left corner. Anywhere else, and the clown car is just going to pound on your head in Stage 3. And it isn't going to work. So the difficulty is how do you get to the left corner and hit Bowser? Because in the left corner, you can't throw straight up, it doesn't work, it hits the clown car, and if you face left and throw straight up, the Mecha Koopa goes off screen. And doesn't hit Bowser ever. So what you need to do is move to the right a bit, and then move back into the left corner. And I came up with this. That's me spinning around so I'm facing the right direction. It looks dumb, but you would not believe how long I tried to find something that works there. If you go to the far right of the screen, which is easy to do, you just get hit by the next bowling ball. And you saw what happens there in the third phase, you just die. This was the best solution I could come up with. But it works. And I'm still just holding up, or at least I was. Oh, Mario, you must be in pain. As we've mentioned before, the fun thing about this spot is that when you're small Mario, you never get hit here. He just it's a sweet spot. You just can't get there, or a sour spot, I suppose. And you can very easily hit Bowser from this position. Timing is ever so slightly tight on jumping on the Mecha Koopas. The left one always just falls off the level. And you have to be careful you don't bounce too high, because you can go into the propeller blade. But it's not difficult. And you can have as many attempts as you want in that final section. But let us not dwell on the past and instead turn our attention back to the tier list. Bowser joins his friends in the one input category, and the tier list is complete. Every boss in this game has been defeated, at most using a single directional input. Bowser was by far the most difficult of them, but it's still only one. I've been Ortega Omega. This has been a random exercise into the bosses of Super Mario World in order to humiliate them before you all. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and you're interested to see what we take on next. Hopefully you'll join me for that, and I shall see you then.